Alright guys, today we are back for another video. We might try to get a little mix action later. Right now there is a 6-12 deuce to 7 Razz game going, so we decided to sit this one in. Start off here in a second. We'll go by explanations here in a couple seconds. Call here against Josh, and we're kind of in a pickle right now. And Josh does something. He always has the bet raise any button on. I'm drawing to a 10 here against him when he limped in. I think I'm going to call with the 10-6 draw. I make the 10-6. But I don't expect him. I expect him to be somewhat a little bit rough here because he flatted me pre-flop, and Josh usually decides to come in for like 2 bets pretty often, and he does. He has a full house, 7's full, so we made the right decision. I'm not quite sure if I would have called him honestly on the river because he tends to bet really thin. But kind of telling, I think, that he decided to call me there and not re-raise me when I opened my hand. All right, deuce to 7 Razz. Very similar to deuce to 7 triple draw, in which you definitely want to start with a deuce in your hand if you can find it. But unlike deuce to 7, where you're kind of dealing in absolutes, your hand is more relative in this game because obviously you're dealing with you're dealt your own hand, and you're dealt the other player is dealt their own hand as well. So in every stud game, you have your own hand and the other player has their own hand. So the strength of your hand is relative to their board versus your board. But if you're looking to make a very nutty hand, you almost always want a deuce in your hand. Because I think the first, first 9 hands or something like that. 8, 5, 6, 3. First 8 hands or something like that, I'll have a deuce in it. The 8 best hands, I think. I think number 9 is 8, 6, 5, 4, 3. And then number 10 is 8, 7, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, Josh goes for very thin bets with that king jack there against ace 10 on 4th Street. So I was when he didn't re-raise me, I expected him to have kind of a rough hand. Actually, we do have a little mix action here on the side. If I get it, if I get a couple more players here, we'll play it. Turn this down just a little bit. But yeah, in deuce to 7 Razz, you're definitely looking for a you want a smooth draw. So anything like 4-3-2 is obviously good. Any 3-card 7 with a deuce in your hand, that's very strong. 3-card 8s with a 3 or deuce in your hand, and again, it's just going to be somewhat relative. But I'll kind of explain as we go along. Like, obviously here with Rhythm having 3 deuce on his board, I mean, that's extremely strong. And now when he catches a jack against an ace, I mean, obviously this isn't a really strong hand too. Not going to play this one. I have 2 9s in my hand here, and oh, I'm sorry, I have a 9 in my hand here, but I have 2 face cards in the hole, so this is no good. Josh left some. Let's see this game. So here Sheriff is betting 8-7 into 2-5. Not quite sure the action, but when Rhythm folds a deuce 5, it usually means he had a pretty brick. So here we have 7-3 deuces, which is one of the best starting hands you can possibly have. 4 and 6 are dead, which I wouldn't say hurts me per se, but those are cards that I would need to make a pretty nutty hand, so it's just good to take note of that. And when Rhythm calls here, my steal, I expect to pretty much win. I'm pretty fast, but I caught a card over his jack there, which was a queen, so he decided to call. Don't really fault him, but I expect to win a lot against most players there pretty quick. 9-7. Even though we have the second lowest card, we have a king in the hole and not a smooth draw underneath, so we're just going to fold this one. It doesn't, even if we raise the 9, it doesn't mean a 10 won't come along too. So we're going to go ahead and throw that one away. And then Sheriff here is representing a pretty smooth draw when he bets in. His board is so much better though than Rhythm's for a couple different reasons, but and then he actually shows up with a wheel, which is extremely strong. And then we have a 9 with 7-8 against a deuce here. We're still going to attempt to steal, so we're going to go ahead for it. It gets through. And now we're three-handed. I'm going to fold with the ace underneath, the 8-5, if I want something a little smoother. Unfortunately, we're rolled up here, so we can't really play this hand, but this is definitely a hand we would love to have in one of the higher games. But we just got to fold this one. Queen 4-5 here with a 5, and we have a queen up. I think this is relatively close because I think both the players here are going to defend, I would say, somewhat close to correctly in this situation. So I don't think my steal here has enough. If I had like Queen 5 deuce, I think I would probably go ahead and steal, but I think both of these opponents here are pretty skilled, so I'm going to fold this one. Queen 8-3, we're going to bring it in, and then there's a good chance here that we're just going to defend here against some of the raises. If it goes raise, re-raise, we're definitely not getting the right price, but we're going to go ahead and call here in a three-handed game. He doesn't have to have a pure draw here, meaning he doesn't just necessarily, he can still have like some bricks in the hole. We are going to check to him when he catches the 9. We're still going to call him peel 1. Catches a 3, which we don't like. We are drawn to a 98. We're staring at 96. My guess is in this situation we're probably supposed to call one more time and see what happens on the river. And now I think we check fold. I think if we improve our hand, we're probably supposed to call. But with the jack in our hand, I don't think we're supposed to call the river now. I think we're going to fold. Nine deuce, got the queen. So we're going to muck this one with the queen in the hole. And 3-6-3 here, we're going to steal obviously with a face card and an ace up. And we get called by the ace with the 10, but we're still going to lead here. There's no point in checking against an ace. We kind of turn our hand if we decide to check. If we need to do anything, we probably should just check our entire range. Sheriff catches a deuce here, but I expect him when he calls with an ace to actually have a fair bit of deuces. So we're going to call here and see what happens. Now we catch a deuce and he catches a king, so we're actually in the lead right now. We have a queen and he has a king. So we're going to go ahead and bet our hand. And that's a pretty bad river card, so we're going to check the river. And I think we win? Yes, we do win. It's kind of close. All right. 10-6-7 against a 9 and a 7. We're going to defend here with the 10-6-7. And when he catches a good card on 4th Street and we catch a pretty big brick, we're going to fold. Like in a three-handed game when ranges are wide, you definitely need to be defending lighter. Like I would say against probably both these guys for the most part, the Queen 5-6 here is going to be a defend unless they both play. Because I have two cards. It's not the card I wanted to. Obviously, I didn't want to pair my 6. When he catches the jack here and I catch a 6, like I'm gonna fold this hand obviously because I make a pair and I'm drawing. I paired my six, but um, usually if his range is relatively wide and I catch a six in my hand, it's pretty strong for my range. So I don't think like he should just be betting every single jack. I think he should be doing some checking. 6-5-6 here with the extra blocker. I'm going to go ahead and open, even though there's a 4 behind me. If I had 2 bricks in the hole, I think this is just a clear fold. We can see that Sheriff is defending pretty wide against an ace like he should. Same thing here. I'm against 2 10s and I have a king. I have a deuce 7 in the hole. This is an easy defend. Even if Sheriff has 100% here, I think we're still an underdog. Plus, playing forward, going forward in this game, our hand is not relatively. We're never going to realize all of our equity. So even if I'm getting the right price, and Sheriff, my guess is here is he probably just has a really rough hand if he decides to check. Yeah, and he'll just fold. I think that's a smart play for what it's worth. He's basically saying that he's stealing really lightly, and he knows that I'm defending, so I probably have two good cards in the hole, and he just doesn't want to continue there. So makes a little sense for him to dump his hand. But yeah, you need to, in shorthanded Razz games, you need to be defending really widely. Like, or, you know, if you're in a full ring game and you open and everyone folds to the person right next to you, if you're the bring and everyone folds next to you, then in that situation, you know, you should be defending lightly, but that's because you're against a wide range. If someone doesn't have a wide range, if someone has a very narrow, tight range, and it's really hard to play going forward and realizing your equity. Like it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're in an 8-handed game and there's a lot of antes and there's a lot of dead money in the middle, you're almost always getting the right price theoretically to call and to go on with your hand. Jack 9-5 here, obviously against 2 kings. I'm going to open. I think some hands, if I had like 2 aces in the hole, I would probably just fold this hand, honestly. Yeah, we're with the lowest card here and 2 cards under the jack. We're definitely going to open. But it's just really hard to realize your equity. Like, you know, theoretically, like if someone min raises and no limit hold'em, I mean, you're always getting the right price to call, but realizing your equity is just is another thing. And similar in I would say like Razz games where you're staring at your opponent's board, and if they have a good board and they still have a wide range, I mean, it's still almost, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's very hard still to realize your equity. So I think that's just a really good takeaway. Obviously, King Jack 10 here with 3 face cards. We're going to fold. Circus mix going. I'm trying to find if I can get the mix game going somewhere. Also, it's been ironic. I feel like one of the strongest games on Phenom as of late, just going every day, is 6-12 Razz or 10-20 Razz almost constantly every single day. So it's kind of interesting to see. So this is one of those situations where I just said like I would probably fold, and honestly I'm like getting the pot's only $10, but if these guys are defending like anything relatively close, I think folding aces is probably it. 2-4-7 here, obviously a really strong hand. Against an open here, we're definitely going to 2-bet. Sheriff can have a wider range, and he definitely can, just because like he's facing 1 deuce and then a face card behind him. But you know, we're just going to go for it. Obviously with this strong hand against Queen Jack, and I still think we could do a little deceptive checking here because my range is like almost 100%, and if we have a relatively strong range, we're definitely should be a favorite over the Queen Jack. But if I have a very wide range there, I think the Queen Jack just about caught up. Again, talking about realizing your equity going forward is just a different thing. I mean, that's just a different monster. And that's one of those things that you have to look into. I would definitely say if you're against a wider range. But again, yeah, if you guys have like access to the old pro poker tools, or Troutulator if you want to look in Razz. That is just such a helpful tool with kind of like understanding what it looks like when you're up against a wide range versus a narrow range. Because when you're up against a very narrow range and your opponent starts catching good cards, your equity goes down so much. But if your opponent has a very wide range and they start catching good cards, you're still getting the right price. The only difference is, can you realize that equity going forward? King 3 and 4 here. I think if Sheriff folds, I'm going to go for the steal here. I don't love having a king in my hand, but I think usually a good, what's the word? A good rule of thumb of going forward is if I have an extra wheel card down to below, I think that's an opportunity to steal. Like, I'm not going to steal from under the gun. Like, if this game was 7-handed and the king brought it in, say, well, that was just random. But if the king brought it in over there and I'm right next to him, and there's 3 low cards out. If I have an ace or king in the hole still, I'm not going to try to steal from an early position. Like, you still want to have a relatively strong range from an early position if you're going to play. Obviously, with an ace up, we're just going to fold. Cat Dog gets I would say a license to steal there pretty much every single time. We're expecting the deuce and the 6 to fight it over. Now Sheriff probably raises here, I would say, like 99% of the time. I actually did get a walk with an ace against Sheriff the other day. I think he was just not paying attention. So, like, sometimes it does happen, but it's very rare. Probably folding the jack, honestly, against the bring in there with an extra jack. It really hurts my hand. So, 9-3-6, obviously we have the best starting hand of the given 4 hands up here. We're going to play this hand. Not sure if the jack should raise in this situation or if the jack should just limp. Like, if he's got a relatively wide range, I think, like, either one's okay. I'm not sure which one's better because he's kind of like bloating the pot, but I don't have a problem. I think he just folds here now with the jack because I have 3 cards under his potential drawing hand. So he's drawing to a jack, and I could have a 9 right now, meaning that he would need to catch two perfect cards to beat me. And usually I would say that's kind of the cutoff in Razz when you just let your hand go, unless the pot is so big for some reason. If the pot got so bloated, and here obviously we have free license to steal against the ace, like even rolled up 5s here, I'd be opening. 2 aces in the hole, I'd be opening. It doesn't matter. This gets through so often that it doesn't matter. He catches a 6, we catch a 9. Again, our board is 5-9. We're looking at ace-6. We're still going with it. He catches a 5, and Sheriff had, I believe, a 6, and we have a 5 in our hand. So it's unlikely at this point that he I would say paired one of these. But we're still going to continue. Technically, we still have the best hand at this point. He's representing a stronger draw. Now, this is one of those situations like, can you realize your equity on the river? And I don't know the answer. And I think if he bets, it's really tricky. I also think it's really important to, like, what card you hit here on the river. Like, the ace is a bad card, obviously, for a lot of different reasons. But what do I have here? I have king, right? I have king, queen. So he would need to have basically like a 2-pair hand to have an ace, or trips and have an ace low. And that last card is really, really, really important because, like, it unblocks him. So now it's more likely he caught a better card on the river. I think I'm still going to pay it off here, honestly. Like, I don't love paying this one off. I have king, queen, 9, 8, 5. I'm going to pay this one off. I don't love this, but I'm still going to do it. Just in case, like, he did have a straight, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I probably shouldn't have sat there and talked about it that much, but I kind of talked myself into calling there, I guess. And again, it's one of those situations where, like, if he catches ace 5 6, we're going to fold here with the ace in the hole and 2 3s behind us. If he has ace 5 6 on his board, instead of catching a 5, he catches a 3. I mean, now it's extremely hard to realize your equity. You don't know where he's at. I mean, he might have made a straight. He might have made an 8 low. He might have made a 7. We might be totally dead. And those are the situations a lot of times where, like, you kind of give up your hand if he does that. Now, when he bets his hand on 6th Street, he's representing a really strong draw. He's representing a super strong draw in that spot, and I actually, going back to that hand, if I can see if we can pull this one up on 6th Street really quick. And the only question is if I have a 9 draw on 6th Street, should he be betting? And I don't know if the answer is yes or not. If I have like 2 kings in my hand and I'm drawing to a king, he definitely should be. Now Sheriff's just going to raise her and we're just going to fold our hand. But going back to this hand briefly, I don't think he's supposed to be betting if I have a 9 draw and he has a better draw than my 9. I think that's also one of the reasons I debated it. I think Sheriff's going to raise pretty wide here, so with the 10 here, I'm going to call with the 5-8 in the hole. I believe Cat Dog had a brick too. But even against this steal, I don't think we should be like re-raising a 10 in this situation. I think it's just too wide. Even if he's got 100% of his range, he's like, I don't think we're pushing any equity. He catches an 8 in here, and we catch a face card. We're just going to let this one go. Obviously, we expect him to bet, so we're just going to fold this one. And if Sheriff folds here, we're going to fold. We got a pair in our hand, so we're just going to fold this one too. Uh, 4-9-7 here we're going to play for sure. Strong enough draw. If there were a bunch of low cards out here in a 7-handed game, I don't necessarily know if I would call. With the 9-7 here, we're going to bet still against. We expect him. I would expect most players, if they catch something like a deuce 3 or 4 and they have a face card open, more often than not, I would expect them to make a pair pretty frequently. You don't usually see them calling with like queen 9-8 or queen 7-8. So usually if they so we open the 9 here with the 3-7, we get 2 bet by the 4. He catches a king, we catch a 4. So far so good. I expect him to call here. I don't expect him to fold. Catches a 5, we catch an ace. So now technically he's ahead. Depends relatively on his draw. We have not seen a 5 yet. So again, kind of interesting. I think I'm just going to check this one back. Oh, because I paired. Yeah, I paired. I'm like, why did he check to me? I'm like, oh, yeah, because I paired my 7. He doesn't know that, so yeah. And then we pair 3s on the river. And if he bets, we fold. And I expect him to check this pretty frequently, actually. Yeah, but I can't beat him anyway, so I'm just going to lay this one down. So he could be betting relatively thin. I mean, theoretically, I could raise because I block 3s and 7s. But when I check 6th Street, I'm more than representing that I've paired in this situation, so I'm just going to fold. Like, I think Cat Dog there in that situation actually might bluff the river with the best hand. It's possible. Jack 4-8 here. This is obviously a pretty rags hand, given the fact that everyone behind me has got low cards, except for the 10, and he opened in front, so this should be a relatively strong range. Probably say like 3 card, 9 smooth and better, something like that. King 4-5. Depends how the action goes here. If Mel opens up, it's closer. If Sheriff opens here, we defend with the 4-5 for sure. This is an easy defend. He's fairly wide. We're getting a good price. Tough one here with the Jack. I think we still call here once and just see what happens. And then we definitely fold. This is actually like the best thing that can happen on 5th Street, because we catch a hand that makes it like totally unplayable for us to continue, and he catches another low card relative to his hand. So my hand's just done. And Sheriff here defends with an ace. And again, I expect him to have a fair amount of deuces in there. So a deuce a lot of times is just something that they pair, I would say. Jack 10 ace, no good. This is definitely Razz is definitely the one game that's super frustrating when you're rolled up. Beyond frustrating, but it's part of the game. 10 opens here, 3-2 bets. This is a good check by the king. Expect Mel here to have like relatively. See, I think Mel here should consider, I mean, even like flipping a coin or rolling a dice or something, and occasionally checking here with the deuce. Um, just because, like, I think a lot of his range, again, continues. If there's no deuces dead, I think a lot of times he has the ability. I'm going to go ahead and open the 4 here with the 8 in the hole. I think it can get through pretty frequently, and there's a queen and a jack and a king behind. We do peel once if we get 2-bet. We don't obviously love our hand, but I definitely think stealing has some merit. Now this is like kind of close between like how we want to play this hand going forward. I think like we don't necessarily in if this was ace to 5 Razz and this was 8-7 and we had 4-3, like we are we're 3-betting, or we're just like leading here a ton. But in deuce to 7 Razz is kind of a different monster. Now he has 8-7-6 and we're drawing at 9-8. Again, it's one of those situations where it's like really hard to realize my equity. I haven't seen a deuce yet. There's no 5s out there. Let's see. The 6 is unpaired. The 7's unpaired. I'm going to 7 up probably. So I'm actually going to make, I think, a little tightish fold in this situation. Again, this is like one of those things where like going forward and realizing your equity is kind of tough. If I had like a smoother 8 draw, obviously I'm continuing there. But at that point, when he catches 8-7-6 against the 2-bet, I think I'm just going to fold. Here, even though I have a second wheel card, I have 3 low cards behind me. The 6 is the one that brought it in. Sometimes, like, you know, obviously a lower card's going to bring it in, so we're just going to fold this one. That's kind of interesting here because I think Cat Dog here has probably slightly stronger range, but Mel's board is so good that he's just barreling, which I don't blame him for. But Mel can open a lot of hands, and Cat Dog's just the one that brought it in. So, but he didn't 2-bet either. That's another thing too. There's like there's a lot of meta actually going on in the Razz, like of how these players are playing their hands. So it looks like Cat Dog defended 4-8-6, 9-7. I don't think he defended a jack. I guess it's possible, but against a player who's going to steal pretty liberally there, I would think 4-8-6 is close to actually 2-betting. And then Sheriff is just going to beat us here. Not much we can do. Jack 8-5. If Sheriff folds, easy fold now. I think it's somewhat close with the 2 10s behind. It just really depends on how often we think they're going to fold. Try to get like 2 more hands in. Just good opportunities to talk about. 10 must have paired. The 3 must have paired the 10. Because if it didn't pair and he folded it, I think that's way too tight. 8-5-6 here is a good starting hand, especially relative to the board. The only person we have any real concern about is Cat Dog. Now, one of the things, this is another kind of concept with respect to Razz too, is if Cat Dog had opened like 2-bet, or if Mel limps, Cat Dog opens, and we have 8-5-6, our hand becomes an automatic 3-bet or automatic re-raise, because now in this situation we're trying to jam the worst hand out or making him pay a price. So if you're in a situation where you're going to play your hand against another player, if there's another high card in there, it just becomes an easy jam because you're trying to get the dead money out. So basically this hand's going to come down to the 3 of us right here, and Sheriff raises, and we're definitely going to 2-bet the 8-4-7. So 3's dead, and what was this, a 7 over here? A 9. It was a 9. And I'd say that like there's a mixture between and then when we both catch like bricks on 4th Street, like it doesn't really matter what happens here. Like the ranges are relatively the same. I think we're just going to check back and see what happens. And then he pairs a 3. So good for us. Now we got an 8 draw. He folds. I would say pretty expected. But I think relative when like the ranges are relatively close, I think like checking a 4th Street like that is fine. I don't like your opponent's going to call. I mean, if you're pushing an edge, you're pushing an edge, but I don't have it. I think that's totally fine. But going back to that other hand, you know, if you have a higher card than you on the board, like obviously if Mel's drawing to a 10, Cat Dog has a deuce, and I have an 8 up, we should be attempting, like, it's not collusion, but it's, let's say, like, mutual agreements in some way where the players are trying to raise the other player out to improve their equity in the hand and improve their EV in the hand as well. 8-9-5 here. I'm going to open into a 9 and an 8. Another table open. I feel like I hear some sounds, but I don't think I have another one open. 6 max? What is this one? Oh, I do have another one open. I'm not playing it, but I didn't realize it was open. I think ice creams here might time out. Obviously 9-5-8 isn't necessarily the strongest hand, but again, it's relative to what the boards are, and I expect us to get through pretty often. I don't think that Jack, even like if the Jack has deuce 3 in this situation, I don't think that Jack should necessarily be calling here. I don't even think Sheriff should be calling here, honestly, because I raised into 2 other medium to low cards behind me, which like is representing like I have a relatively strong range. I'm still going to defend here when he catches a deuce and I catch a king. Kind of the same thing here, like he has deuce 7 and I'm drawing at a 10. I'm drawing at a, like I have a flush draw too, which isn't necessarily the best hand, but I'm still gonna peel in this situation. Deuce 7-6 is not great. I could theoretically be drawing dead here, but I'm still gonna continue. I haven't seen a deuce. I have seen no 7. I haven't seen no 6, and I catch a 3, which is again, it's a good card for me because it blocks him from having like an extra 3 in the hole, and he bricked out, so we win. Yeah, I don't think Sheriff should actually be calling that situation because my range is stronger. He's getting the right price, but again, it's like one of those things that can you realize your equity? And I don't know if the answer is yes. And then Sheriff should just steal here. So even my hand, like my hand, it's when he catches that good, if he's defending like all, let's see, we'll just, I'll go to 6th Street here, because if I go to the end, I can't, it'll muck his hand. But in this situation, if he's defending like all 3s, 4s, 5s, combinations here, like it's really tough for me going forward because like a lot of times he has pairs in this situation. Is he calling with like an 8 or 9 in the hole? Well, I have 2, I mean, there was a 9 and an 8 over here, so there's, I'm going to fold the king 5 deuce. But over here, I mean, there was a 9 and an 8, so I know that there's 4 cards he probably doesn't have. I have a 5 and a 3 in my hand, and I pair another 3 on the river, so that was a really important card for me, too, to continue on the river. But I think my daughter just woke up, so I'm going to fold this hand, and I'm going to call it there for right now. So, obviously, I hope you guys enjoyed a little deuce to 7 Razz. Comments or questions, please let me know. Put it in the details. If you are looking to open a Phenom account, there is a link below. Please click it. It helps me out. I love to see the fact that I'm getting like 100 views a video right now. I don't know if that's just randomness or not, but that's super exciting, and hope you guys like the comments. Hope you guys, like the videos, and yeah, leave some comments for me, and like and subscribe and all the good stuff. Until then, I wish you guys the best. Good luck at the tables. Bye-bye.